Hello my book babes and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate it. You guys, June is finally over. I feel like I had a pretty mediocre June reading month, honestly, but I am so ready for July. My goal is to make July the best reading month I've had so far this year. So I'm gonna go over my July TBR, my July hopefuls. I'm very much a mood reader. I like pulling for my TBR journal prompts. I like doing reading challenges. So when I say my July TBR, it's really just, these are books that come to mind instantly when I think, what do I want to read next? So you're gonna see it's quite a long list, but it's really just more for fun and for vibes. So I will say there's a few books from different places that I have to read for the month. One of those being my library books, because if I have not told you yet, which I don't think I have, I got a new job and it's in a library and I am having the time of my life, don't worry. But that also means I've been checking out library books like crazy and I need to get on them because all the books I'm about to show you are due at the end of July. And then there's also a couple book club books. One for my own personal book club, Let's Get Literate, that's on Fable, linked down below. And for a horror book club I'm a part of here locally, that's also doing a book for July. So those are the mandatories. Then we'll get into sort of my fun TBR, my hopefuls. This would be cool if I read all of these books, but who knows what I'll actually end up reading. Let's start with the book club books. The first one is going to be The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is my Let's Get Literate Fable book club book because we are doing cozy fantasy for the month of July. And we had several options and we voted on The House in the Cerulean Sea. What I know about this is that there is a caseworker who decides to visit this sort of orphanage for magical children because he heard they're troubled. But when he gets there, he actually discovers a found family and learns what true love and deep connection is. And I just heard nothing but great things about this book, so I'm very excited. Then for the horror book club, we are reading Goblins by Josh Malerman. This is his horror story short story collection. I believe there's 6 stories and they're all sort of interconnected around one town. The way we vote in the horror book club is we put our choices in a bowl and then we do the thing where one of us picks it up and says we are not reading whatever slip we picked up, and then whatever book is left in the bowl by the end is what we read. So one of our girls chose this, so that's what we will be reading. Now I have 6 books checked out from the library for right now, so though there's probably going to be more to come, honestly. The most recent one I picked out was When Dealing with Dragons. This is a brand new YA Romantasy release, and as far as I know, it has to deal with a world that has dragon racing, and our main character wants to follow her dreams to be a dragon veterinarian. Are you kidding me? And as far as I know, this is a academic rivals to lovers. Oh, it sounds so good. I read like the first page today and I'm so into it. This is definitely high on my library TBR. I also checked out Fantastic Land. For some reason, I know this book is a bit older. I've had several people recently read this and talk about it. So whenever I see people talking about one book and they're all simultaneously reading it without them knowing about each other, but they're all in my life, I'm like, okay, I need to get in on this. From what I know, this is a amusement park horror with some social commentary on capitalism, but also I was told by one of the library workers that there's lots of gore in this. So I'm excited. We'll see how I feel. I also checked out A Better Life. This is a novel discussing the contemporary immigration issue, and it's about a New York family who takes in a Honduran immigrant, but she may not be all as she seems. I've heard nothing but spectacular things about people that have read this book, and it just seems so interesting, so I'm excited for this kind of literary fiction. I also checked out Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. From what I know, this is a sapphic botanical horror, and I think they're also coming out with another book very soon, so I want to read this author and see if I like them. Now, I did check out a paperback version of The Sword of Kaigen, and that's because I have the Wraith-marked special edition Sword of Kaigen behind me, and sometimes when I get special editions, I'm willing to read them. Like, it doesn't matter to me if I read them or not, but with that one in particular, it's so well made and so heavy that I was like, let me just get the paperback version of Sword of Kaigen, read that, and then I can use that for display. This is the only library book that I think I may or may not get to. I'm open to returning before I ever get to it, just because I have all the time in the world to read The Sword of Kaigen. I could read the special edition if I want to. I'm really in no rush, but I checked it out for the moment, and if I don't read it or pick it up this July, I'll just return it and get it another time. And the last book that I actually have to read soonest, because it's due the soonest, is Skin Contact. From what I know, this is sort of a weird romance because it's about a couple that opens their marriage, but that has ripple effects not only with them but people around them and those that love them. I'm very fascinated by the concept of an open marriage. That's not something I would ever do, but I like stories about the concept and its exploration. Alrighty, those are all my library books that I need to read in July. Now the rest of these I've kind of separated by genre, and these are just my hopefuls, my desirables. And this is also excluding ARCs or advanced reader copies. I have a ton of ARCs I also have to finish for July, but if I had to include those, well, you know, I just want to think about fun options that are not demanding that I read and review them, you know? So that's what these will be. Let's start with Romantasy. The first book I want to read is This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me. I feel like people either really like this or they feel like the world building is too intense and there's too much info dumping. That's what I've heard. They're either obsessed or there was too much info dumping. So I'm curious to see where I fall. Also, this particular edition, Owl Crate, is a very high in demand edition, so I want to read this book to see if I like it enough to keep this edition. But if I don't like it enough, I'm someone who, if I don't like a book, it feels wrong in my spirit to keep it as a display. Even if this is very much a rare book right now, I'd rather just sell it and have someone else get it that actually enjoys the story. So I do want to read this finally. I also want to read In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy. The second book in this, I think, duology? Maybe trilogy, is coming out July 7th. I read the first couple of chapters of this for a Read It or Unhaul It challenge, and I really liked it. It's a romantasy involving sirens, so I'm very excited for this. And also high on my romantasy TBR is The Poisoned Daughter. I'm getting a special edition of this in my coveted cover subscription box, so I want to read this version, which is actually the indie paperback, which is now out of print, to see if I want to keep that coveted cover edition or if I also, again, want to sell it. This is a romantasy standalone, and it's about a woman who has a power or maybe a curse where anyone she kisses dies immediately until one night she kisses someone and he doesn't die. And this person ends up being her new betrothed husband, so he now knows her secret. But then apparently he whisks her away to his fort in the woods, and I guess the story goes from there. I don't really know. I've heard mostly good things, so I want to get on it. Next, I have some thrillers I want to read. The first is The Night Guest. This is, again, one of those books where it's been out for a while, but recently people have been reading it around me and really liking it. So I want to give it a shot. As far as I know, this is an Icelandic horror novel. I think it's technically a short story or a novella. I also want to read Headlights by C.J. Lee. This was gifted to me very nicely by Tor Nightfire, so that's also why I want to read it, because if a publisher gives me a finished copy, I would want to read it and prioritize it. But also because I've heard many mixed reviews about this, actually. This is one of those books that I haven't heard good things about, for the most part. People are rating it around 2 to 3 stars. They say that it's kind of weird, it's kind of slow at times, and I just kind of want to read it for myself to get my own feelings upon it. And last, this one I kind of just pulled out of my ass, but it's Two Kinds of Strangers by Steve Kavanaugh. He's a very popular thriller writer right now, and this is one of the more recent releases he's had, and anyone I've heard talk about this has loved it. So I'm thinking if I need a thriller that I know will be good, hopefully I'm gonna pick this up. I also would love to do a reading vlog either this month or next where I read as much translated fiction as I can within a week. So if I do that this month, I want to prioritize these books. First is Small Boat. This is a sort of work of fiction, but inspired on the true story of a flotilla that was holding migrants that were coming from France to the UK, and a French radio operator's indecision and actions that led to their demise. I also want to read On Earth as It Is Beneath. This was shortlisted for the Booker or Women's Prize, and I've heard nothing but great things about it from people that have read it. It's quite short, so I feel like it won't take up too much of my psyche. And the book I've had the longest on my translated fiction shelf is Butter by Asako Yuzuki. I've heard mixed reviews. Apparently this is about a serial killer chef. The thing that intimidates me is the length. For a literary thriller or literary horror, having it be so long is quite intimidating to me, but I do want to give it a shot, at least open it up and see if I might like it because I've had it for so long. Next, for romances, most of these I want to read because they've been controversial and I want to just be able to give my 2 cents. First is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. You either love or you hate this book. I've heard it's boyfriend's best friend, but people think that's either done really well or they absolutely hate it. I want to know where I fall. I've also never read an Abby Jimenez book before, so this will be my first. Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It. This is getting a lot of hype right now, and I'm excited because it's about, I think, a 30-year-old woman who wants to lose her virginity, but it also has mental health representation. So yeah, I'm excited to see if I like this. It's also a bit shorter, which I prefer my romances to be on the shorter side. And lastly, Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. Once again, I've never read a Carly Fortune book in my life, and this is one of those books where, once again, I'm seeing a lot of love for it, and I'm seeing a ton of hate for it. As far as I know, this is about a woman who gets ditched at her wedding, so then she takes her boy best friend on her honeymoon instead. I'm kind of nervous because it sounds very predictable, so I'm hoping that the writing will give me something else to be interested in besides just that plot point, because I'm like, okay, they're gonna get together by the end of this book, I already know what happens, right? Or am I gonna be wrong? Let's see. Now when it comes to general literary fiction, one of the books I hope to prioritize is Taipei Story by R.F. Kuang. I did not get gifted this arc. No. I traded my soul and my firstborn child basically to get this arc from someone else because I had basically accepted that they were not going to send it to me, the publisher, even though I did beg on my hands and knees. Alas, it's fine. This is about a woman who goes to Taipei to study in a foreign exchange program to connect with her Chinese roots. And it's a coming-of-age novel that grapples with grief, language, and culture shock. I also would love to finally read The Names by Florence Knapp. This book is a story about a woman who I believe is in an abusive marriage, and she wants to name her son one thing, the father wants to name her son one thing, and then I forget what the third thing is, but there's a different name for a son on a third option, and the story explores the 3 different names that the son is given and how his life would turn out with these different names. Such a cool concept. I've heard this is a bit dark when it comes to the abuse part, but it's also very impactful, and for the most part, I've heard great things. And lastly, I want to read Broken Country. I've been told this is a literary fiction with a thriller pace. That's how it's poised to me. It's a story about love, loss, fury, and forgiveness, and about a very messy family. Also, if I end up getting to any nonfiction this month, I want to get to You Won't Get Free of It. This was sent to me by the publisher. This is a collection of reported stories that explore the relationship between mother and daughter, and I've heard nothing but good things about people that have read it, but I'm also a little scared I'll be triggered, so we'll see, but it sounds really interesting. I was also gifted A Marriage at Sea. This is about a young couple that is shipwrecked, and it's a tale of obsession, survival, and a marriage stretched to its limits. I love books about marriage, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, so this is very enticing to me. And lastly, we gotta end it on some weird girl lit, right? I still have not picked up A Good Person by Kirsten King. I don't know why. One of these weeks I will be doing a reading only weird girl lit for a week. It'll be the first book I pick up. I actually don't know much about it besides the fact that our main character is absolutely diabolical and unhinged, and I love that, so I'm excited. I also love to read Close Relationship with Strangers. This was sent to me by the publisher, however, it was also one of my most anticipated reads. It's about a paparazzi that gets obsessed with getting a picture of a certain celebrity and goes to crazy, diabolical, unhinged lengths to do so, and ends up losing more than just his own self-respect. I also think this cover is diabolical and really cool. And lastly, Open Wide. Once again, a third example of everyone's been reading this lately but me. I've heard this is an absolutely disturbing, crazy, chaotic tale of obsession, but taken to its absolute max physically as well. And yeah, I've heard people like this, but that's absolutely wild and crazy, so sign me up. We are almost done, but I thought I'd mention at least one arc, and that is My Unfamiliar. This is by Mara Rutherford, and I'm mentioning this because I'm actually going on a cruise at the very end of July to Hawaii. I also will be packing a bunch of books. Now, to be completely transparent, I'm on the street team for My Unfamiliar, which means I'm in a group chat with the author and other content creators. I was sent this book for free, and I'm expected to post and review it. However, let me say this, I would never accept a street team invitation if I could not be honest about the book. So even though I'm on a street team, I will still be honest about my thoughts in my review. That being said, My Unfamiliar is a cozy fantasy, and while I'm on my cruise, I think I'm gonna mostly bring more lighthearted stories just because it's gonna be sunny, it's gonna be warm, I'm gonna be on the pool deck. I just kind of want an easy read, not something I super have to think about. This is being published in December, so it's a long ways away from publishing date. However, being on the street team, I do feel like I have a certain obligation to read this somewhat soon and review it. So there could be hype or not, depending on how I feel. But I'll say this will definitely be a pick for my end of July cruise. All right, y'all, that's my sort of unofficial July TBR. I have books I absolutely need to read. I have books I would like to read. And who knows what I'll be packing for that cruise. Like I said, the vibe I'm feeling is summery, low stakes, but you never know. Let me know down below what books you are absolutely prioritizing for July. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having an amazing day or night wherever you are. And I hope you're about to read something so spectacular, delicious, scrumptious. I want that for you. That's gonna be it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.